All right, welcome back. Now, residents of Imo State are having to suffer the results of what seems like a political vendetta between incumbent Governor Hope Uzodinma and his predecessor, Rochas Okorocha. Now, the Somtochukwu Hospital built by Okorocha during his tenure has been pulled down by the state government. The hospital, situated at the Eke Uku Owerri Market, was built in memory of a 10-year-old boy who was killed during the demolition of the market. Now, in line with his promise to rebuild the market, the Imo State government began the demolition of the Somtochukwu Hospital. And to defend its position, the state government released a statement saying the demolished building was not a hospital but a carcass and a hideout for criminals, which serves no purpose to the people. But that is completely not the case. It's actually not true. That I know. And, joining me now to discuss more on this, I still have Libros Oshoma here, who is a political analyst. And then I have, of course, Nelson Ekujimi, another political analyst. Let me start with you, Nelson. This is quite shocking when I saw this. What the state government put out to say it was just a carcass is actually not true. There were some equipment there. Of course, the place was not fully furnished, no doubt. But even if the place was not fully furnished, you needed to have seen the building at the very beginning. So for the governor now to go and demolish that place and say he wanted to return the market there, does it make sense to you?
Absolutely not. I saw the images on the social media. And for me, it was heart-rending that at a time in our history, when we are complaining of lack of infrastructure, you had an infrastructure built for health facility in a state like
because
that.
If there were no hospital equipment in the...
Well, the only thing you need to put in was those equipments. The building was already on ground and it was a very gigantic... That could have become a tertiary health institution. So for me, the excuse or the reasons given by the Imo State government runs against logic, runs against common sense, because come what may, the resources either of an individual or a state has been put to good use. And one expected the state government to have built on it rather than, turn everything to ashes. Because right now, money, whether public or private, has gone down the drain.
Libros, is this something that we can actually make sense of?
DEJI, first and foremost, let's point out the fact that these two governors, the former one and the present one, are from the same political party,
yes.
the APC.
Yes.
So it's not a question of, oh, this is a different party and a different ideology.
Yeah.
And then also, people also need to understand that the market that was in that place that were relocated, the relocation site had been fully built up and stores allocated to traders. So it is not as if their shops were taken from them and they were not properly relocated and they were wandering, and so they need to bring them back. And then, lastly, like you said, in an attempt to relocate the marketers, a trigger-happy policeman did shot at Somtochukwu, and in keeping the memory of that young boy who had to die carelessly, the former governor decided to name that beautiful. I still have the pictures of that hospital, lovely and beautiful edifice. In memory of that boy. And so, just like Emeka Ihedioha, when he first came, the first thing he did was to go demolish the Akachi built by Rochas Okorocha with state funds. And then now you have a governor, they call him Supreme Court governor, from the same political party. And the first thing, his polling problem now is that he wants to relocate traders. He's trading the problem of that community now. This is a state where governors and state actors travel abroad or travel to Port Harcourt for medical tourism. In some cases, they come to Lagos. One would have expected that an edifice as big and beautiful as that, about 5-story building, that even if it is not properly equipped or not completed, it was built from state funds and budgeted for. It beholds on the current governor, because the government is continuing. It beholds on the current governor to complete it and equip it for the benefit of the average Imolite. To now drive a
bulldozer.
A bulldozer through that building, depriving the people of the funds of their taxes that have been used to raise that edifice, for me, is an insult on the people of Imo, and the people of Imo should rise up and demand that this be corrected. Because you can't do this in Sena society.
Honestly, I can't understand it.
No matter, even if the approvals for that building were not properly obtained, it behoves on the governor to rectify what had been done before for the benefit of the people. We've seen situations where, lands are acquired by government to build infrastructure. And then a new governor comes and says, look, we cannot, since taxpayers' money had been spent, what we can do is to rectify whatever was done. Mm-hmm. But where you now see a governor for political vendetta to now bring down an edifice that is supposed to benefit the people, all in the name of wanting to relocate people that have been relocated, for me, it's an insult on not just Imolite, it's an insult on Nigerians
Honestly,
collectively, it's an insult on the political party. I think the APC should also call the governor to order.
Absolutely. And it's actually a big shame that the APC has not said anything, because for me, it's marks of madness, to say the least. I can't understand it. Here you have a governor who is not popular in his state. And you would expect that kind of governor to do everything to draw the people to himself, make himself popular. And what does he do? He's throwing away whatever tiny goodwill he has left. It just doesn't, I can't understand this.
Well, like what you were saying and listening to Libros, I was searching in my mind that is there something in government house that, dwarfs our reasoning as human beings? Is it that, there are some special forces? Apology to former presidential spokesperson, Ruben Abati, if you remember when he said there were some forces within the corridors of power. Because looking at this destruction of the...
That's a multi-million dollar complex.
I just could not rationalize it under any guise. That is it that there are too many too many medical facilities.
And the state government is trying to give the impression that it is the Imo people, that the were people who own the market, that they say that's their tradition, that they want to come back there.
Okay,
they were the ones who asked.
What now happens to the relocation that has taken place? What now happens to the memory of the young lad who is being remembered, with such an edifice, to save lives, to repair limbs? So for me, I cannot rationalize it. And it's heart-rending. That's why I said earlier on. And like Liberals rightly said, I think the party needs to wade into this matter and call the governor to order. And because
the sad thing of it all is
does
that
not add beauty to our democracy.
Demolished. The place has been demolished.
Well,
quite sad.
You see, DEJI, I shed tears when I saw
I did as well.
The bulldozer.
I didn't believe it when I saw it.
Driving through that edifice. And I asked myself, this is a state that is begging for infrastructure. This is a state where health workers are on strike, where, both federal and state health workers are on strike. This is a state where the governor is looking for, how to legitimize, the illegitimacy that is hanging over his head. This is a state where so many people are unemployed, and a little facility that can provide succor, that can provide health, that can provide employment to the people, and a governor sits down and you decide to demolish it. For me, I think this is no longer democracy, but madness. No matter the evil spirit hanging around the government house, no matter the personal grievances that the present governor shares with the former governor, I think this is unwarranted, this is uncalled for. And quickly, this is also a call to political parties. Remember, this same Emeka Ihedioha moved from PDP into APC just before the election.
No, not Emeka Ihedioha. That's the current governor.
Sorry.
Yes, Hope Uzodinma.
Apologies to Emeka Ihedioha. Hope Uzodinma. He was a senator representing PDP in the Senate, and then moved into PDP just before the election.
Moved into APC.
Moved into APC just before the election, and he got the ticket of the APC, and then the Supreme Court made him a governor. That you can't take away. And so today, that same governor flying the flag of the APC, but he is displaying, is behaving as if the former governor who was an APC member is an enemy, is his enemy, because he's behaving as if he's still in PDP while he's in APC. Because if he was a PDP governor, you can say, okay, because it's a different political party. But here, we're talking about the same political party. So the only conclusion I can draw is the fact that even though he's in the same party with the former governor on paper, but in the real sense, he's in an opposition party with him. That's the only conclusion I can draw.
That's it.
And truly, the party need to make a statement with this, so as to call governors who are contemplating ideas such as this to order. Because once you spend taxpayers' money, unfortunately, the State House of Assembly is an appendage of whatever the executive is doing. So they can't call the governor to order. But the party should be able to at least expand democracy and call governors to order and say, look, we cannot tolerate such actions from our governors. It's truly uncalled for.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. And it's actually a shame that the governor of Imo State would do this. And history would not be kind to him for what he's done. And this, I think, is going to affect his conscience. Because this is a terrible thing that nobody should have done. Not a governor. It's a big shame. All right, we'll take a short break now and we'll be right back. On DEJI360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country. I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly. God forbid that I go to join that
DEJI360, providing clarity to issues.